Um, Good evening, everybody. I am Debbie Gibbs. I'm Congressman Garamendi's Deputy Chief of Staff and District Director, and I want to welcome all our Women of the Year and congratulate you for being honored this year. This is our 7th year, I believe, that we're honoring women in the 3rd Congressional District. So, and I also want to welcome your families because this is very important. We have a great program lined up for you this evening. Our guest speaker is Dr. Ellen Hartigan O'Connor. She's out of UC Davis and she's our Associate Professor of History. We will then go into the congressman's, he'll recognize all of our Women of the Year and say a little bit something about each of you. And then we'll have a quick Q&A session at the end of the program. So with that said, I would like to introduce to you your congressman, my boss, and Mrs. Garamendi, who, by the way, has been my mentor for many years. So, John and Patty Garamendi, it's all yours.
Thank you, Debbie. I think most of you know Debbie's my district director, deputy chief of staff, and she starts thinking about the Woman of the Year event like
tomorrow.
Well,
I'll start thinking about next year's tomorrow.
Yesterday. So she's
Yeah.
already started on the next year's Woman of the event. This is her favorite, and it's certainly Patty's and mine. We do a lot of different kinds of events around the district. More and more of them in the last 7 months are Zoom meetings. But this one is very, very special. Different to be sure, because we're Zooming. We're not in person. So I miss seeing all of you in person. Many of you I had the pleasure of working with over the last several years. And we'll look forward to being in person once again. But right now, we're doing what we need to do, and that is take care of each other, take care of our communities, and wear masks and social distancing. We usually do these events at least the last 5 years at the Woodland Community College. And they've been wonderful hosts. I believe that 3 of the staff and the professors are there. Casey Gardner, the VP of Instruction, is with us tonight. Dr. Shannon Reed, the Dean of Arts and Sciences, and Dr. Brazil Cruz, Dean of the Institutional Effectiveness. Really, thank you so very much for the hospitality last year. Can we get sign up for next year? Thank you. We'll take that as a yes, and we'll look to be back at Woodland Community College. We miss you. We miss everybody in person. You're a fabulous group of people. I was scrolling through as fast as I could, looking at all of you that are on the camera and Zooming with us tonight. This is going to be a wonderful evening because we're going to learn about each other. We're going to learn about the way in which, when things get done in this district, more often than not, they're done by women. And that's what each and every one of you have done over these years. You've done that. I know Patty usually likes to say a few things here. And so, Patty?
I'm looking forward to your guest speaker because she is all about women's history, and she's a UC Davis professor, where 3 of our children graduated. So I defer my extra minute to her.
Well, this is the 3rd suffrage event that you participated in. You did one with what?
I did one nationally with the Library of Congress, where I hosted all of the diplomats from around the world to tell them our story and to also hear about their stories in other countries, how the vote came about, how difficult it was. And so this is a great year for you to be honored. Congratulations, everyone.
Okay. Debbie tells me it's time for me to introduce Dr. Elaine Hartigan O'Connor.
Right.
So I'll do that very quickly. Debbie, you gave some of this information. She's a full professor at UC Davis. She specializes in American and women's history. In addition to her appointment in the history department as a professor, she is the Associate Dean for graduate students and postdoctoral scholars. She's an elected trustee of the Business History Conference, also a founding and standing editor of the Oxford Bibliographies Online, Atlantic History, and a board member of the Women and Social Movements. She's a speaker, with the Organization of American Historians Distinguished Lecture Program, and by all accounts from her students, some of whom have given us, hey, this is the lady you want to have as a speaker. She is loved on campus. Dr. O'Connor, please join us.
Thank you so much. I really am very honored to be invited to participate by one of my former students. And it is a delight to be here. I want to thank, of course, you, our hosts, and I want to congratulate the Women of the Year for their active commitments as leaders and visionaries. And as I was reading through the program and reading the stories of all these tremendous women, I was inspired to use my time today to share some other women's stories that will allow us to reflect on the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment and recognize the enormous amount of work and vision it entails. It entailed at the time and still entails from women all over. So as many of you I hope know, now that we're in the second half of the year, the 19th Amendment to the US Constitution was ratified in August 1920 and stated that the right to the vote in the United States shall not be denied on account of sex. And at the time it was passed, women had a variety of voting rights. There were some who could vote in school boards, some who could vote locally, most could vote not at all, really depending on local laws, state laws, and local attitudes. And so thousands of women had agitated and organized for decades to bring this national amendment out of this patchwork of status. And so if you remember one thing from what I'm talking about tonight, it would be to acknowledge about the 19th Amendment, how long it took to pass. And I thought I'd illustrate that with two women, both with the last name Paul, no relation, separated by a century. The first was Susan Paul, born in 1809, daughter of a respected Black Baptist minister and his wife, a teacher in Boston. Susan Paul built her public life first as a writer and teacher, and she also organized a choir that would travel and sing anti-slavery songs as they moved from city to city up and down the East Coast. She joined female anti-slavery societies and was named vice president of the 1838 Women's Anti-Slavery Convention in Philadelphia. But the presence of Black and white women coming together and speaking politically provoked a mob response that burned down Pennsylvania Hall where they were meeting. And so Paul's story reminds us of the physical danger that women of color especially were in when they claimed a public political voice. And her story reminds us that the roots of the suffrage movement lay in a diverse range of activism and reform, because the movement, the suffrage movement, was always about what women would use their voice as voters to do, not just to achieve the vote. Our second Paul is Alice Paul, an American Quaker born in 1885. She was trained as a sociologist and social worker. And she traveled to England and learned from the women's suffrage activists there militant protest tactics. So she brought these back to the US movement: hunger strikes, picketing, putting bodies on the line. In 1917 to 1918, she spent 18 months standing outside the gates of the White House for hours with banners demanding the right to vote. She was imprisoned and force-fed, and the leaders of the National American Woman Suffrage Association totally didn't approve of her. They thought that this was theatrical and unnecessary and naive. And what they appreciated was a savvy, rational, state-by-state lobbying. Together, the tactics worked. And Paul's efforts remind us that activists often disagree on tactics, even when they share a goal. The second thing I want you to remember about the 19th Amendment is, if the first was how long it took to pass, the second is how long it took for its promise to become a reality. Mabel Pinghua Li immigrated to the United States from Guangzhou, China in 1900 when she was 5 with her parents, a Baptist minister and a teacher. And as a teenager, she spoke to white suffrage groups about the revolution in China in the early 20th century, which had already led to voting rights for women in some provinces. And in fact, the National American Woman Suffrage Association marched, inspired by her, marched with a banner that they were catching up with China when it came to women's rights. And yet when the 19th Amendment passed, Lee could not vote because she was barred from becoming an American citizen under laws that discriminated against Asian Americans. And so her story reminds us that the power of the vote has always been connected to laws about who's included in the definition of American. Roughly 1/3 of Indigenous Americans, including women, could not be US citizens in 1920 when the 19th Amendment was ratified, and so they could not vote. Zikala Shah, a Yankton Dakota Sioux woman, was born in 1876 and educated in missionary schools and then college and conservatory, where she became first a classical violinist and a writer. And after the 19th Amendment passed, she saw this as an opportunity to reach out to these new women voters and get them interested in the rights of Native Americans. In 1924, the US government conferred citizenship on all Native Americans, and Zikala Shah traveled thousands of miles to register them as Native voters, believing that the vote would help them assert tribal sovereignty over land, sometimes in opposition to those federal authorities. Her story reminds us of the intersecting identities that women have and how they used voting for their communities, not just for women as a group. And finally, in communities across the US South in 1920, women of color technically had the right to vote, but literacy tests, poll taxes, and intimidation prevented large numbers of them from voting. The National Women's Party, under Alice Paul, our champion who was willing to be force-fed, told these women this was a race issue. It was not a women's issue. Fannie Lou Hamer, the 20th child, born in 1917 to poor sharecroppers in Mississippi, became an activist to rectify this, organizing Black people in voter registration drives. In 1962, she was fired from her job and lost her home for attempting to vote herself, and her vote was denied after she allegedly failed a literacy test. But she persisted. She stood for congressional election, she organized political parties, she worked for economic equality, and her extensive activism helped pass the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which outlawed those forms of discrimination and voter suppression and put the federal government behind voting rights for all. So in terms of what the 19th Amendment means to us today, I would say these women's and these women's stories show us that the vote was and still is a collective project and a collective tool that we need to use. So go vote. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Now I know why your students were so excited about their classes with you. You have an enthusiasm and obviously about the issues. I do have a question. Patty brought to me one night, she was reading about Abigail Adams. And she pointed out to me that Abigail Adams, way back at the founding of the Constitution, was very, very upset that women were not involved in the opportunity to vote at that time or to participate.
Yes, Abigail Adams' very famous letter to her husband, John Adams, to say, you know, consider the ladies, all men would be tyrants if they could, certainly is a voice from the past that sounds very familiar. But one of the reasons it's interesting is he knew this, right? He was gone all the time. She was not only running their farm, she was investing money in bonds and, you know, I mean, and so her point is a fair one. So yeah, she's a favorite of mine too, for sure.
Fascinating. The history is so fascinating. I can tell our grandkids, fine, take your science courses, but you better take history courses. No, I'm going to take an economic. So you can't understand economics unless you know history.
That's right. It all connects.
So do you have an open space in your classroom for me?
Well, I think now that we're all Zoom, right? The sky's the limit.
But you may have a bunch, I don't know, some 39 women that are on this program tonight that may want to participate on one of your Zoom classes. Thank you so very much. Debbie, thank you. You're going to get me back on schedule here, so have at it.
You're good, sir. I think now if you would like to recognize the honorees, we can start that.
Good, I'd like to do that. I also want to shout out to you and your team. You'll notice that this is the big surprise that I was shown last night. And this is the virtual. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to try to explain it. is to show the pictures of each of the honorees as a group. We're going to start with a very, very special woman that unfortunately is not with us today. She was nominated. We were getting set up for this program. We were going to do it a little earlier in the year. Unfortunately, she died of breast cancer. Nina Gill is really remembered by everybody in the Yuba Sutter County area. Just tireless community leader, constant smile, ceaseless gratitude, brought joy to all of us, and an immigrant, a Punjabi immigrant. She was an integral part of the Yuba Sutter community. She and her beloved husband, Cash, are known in the community for farming peaches, prunes, walnuts, almonds, but most importantly, they farmed students, not only their own children, but really at the Yuba Community College. Nina was simply there to make sure that every student had the very best opportunity for an education. She worked tirelessly with disadvantaged students. She gave them the courage, the direction, and the success that they needed. She also, because of all of that work over more than 30 years at the college, they created the Nina Gill Spirit Award in her honor. And it's awarded annually to a Yuba County college member who displays the spirit and love for their students. So her work carries on in inspiring other teachers, other staff at the college to do as she did, and that's to become an advocate for women and for students. In the women's side, I cannot tell you the number of times that Nina came to me about not only the Yuba College and the work that was being done there, but also women's health. And she decided she couldn't wait for the federal government to come up with money, so she set about raising over $75,000 for a 3D imaging machine to help breast cancer diagnosis. She was the subject of one of those diagnoses, and she lost her life to that illness. Her legacy will continue to reverberate throughout the campus. Probably more than 1,000 students were successful because she cared about them and gave them the time that they needed to not only understand what they could do, but to reach their own expectations. So a very special night for Nina and for all of us that were able to work with her. We miss her, and I know her family does also. I think her husband wanted to say a couple of words here, so
thank you. Yeah, thank you, Congressman. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of her family, on behalf of Nina, for this wonderful, wonderful award. I know that she's not here with us today, but she would be very honored and humbled to receive this award. For many of you that do know Nina, she was never into the limelight. She always worked behind the scenes. And, you know, when you walked to Yuba College, she would always tell us, and like you mentioned, she was an immigrant from India, came back, furthered her education here. But she'd always say, I've got my dream job. I've got the best job in the world. And no matter where you went in this community, there was never a time or a place where we didn't run into any of her students. And she fought for students who didn't get accepted to colleges. She would go to the farm and ask many of the students, have you gotten your education? Are you going to school? What can I do to help you? That's how she was. She worked with John Nicoletti, and thank you to John Nicoletti for nominating Nina for this award. She worked with her on Friday Night Live for many, many, many years. I tell everybody all the time, I am who I am, honestly, in this community because of Nina. They say that for every successful man, there's a woman behind, but she was not behind me, she was with me. She was my partner, she was my wife, she was my best friend. And I know that she is smiling from up above today. We've been married for 34 years, and she leaves behind 3 wonderful children with me. And I know that she would be honored. And so I thank you from our bottom of our heart, Congressman and John Nicoletti, for recognizing Nina for her work. It means a lot.
Thank you so very much. And I see one of my interns there next to you.
Hi. Hi, Mr. Congressman. Hi.
Graduate from UC Berkeley. Thank you so much. in some ways it's sad, but in every way it's good to recognize the situation and a life well spent in service to others. Thank you so very much.
Thank
What we're going to do, moving on, is we're going to go county by county. We're going to start with, I believe, Lake County is going to be up, and the photos of the honorees will be on the screen, and you'll get to have a good look, and I'll read a little bit about each and every one of them as they come up. So thank you. Let's go to Lake County. Thank you, Debbie. I know also we have one of our teams back in Washington, I think being the at the control board.
Yes.
Yvonne Fox, from Lucerne always did a weekly Tuesday dinner for 21 years, inviting anyone in need of a meal that was hungry, and there were plenty in Lake County and still are, to join her at no cost. She's a longtime business owner in Lucerne, known throughout her community for her generosity and kindness. And Yvonne, like all of you, were nominated by past recipients of the Women of the Year. And so each of you know your communities, and Yvonne was very, very well known by past recipients. Yvonne, congratulations, delighted you're able to join us tonight.
Congressman. Thank you, Mrs. I appreciate it. It's quite an honor. I am still speechless. I was not expecting this. It was wonderful. And thank you, Annie Barnes, my mentor and guru, who 21 years ago asked me what were my goals and aspirations. And this was it. I wanted to feed.
Well, another life of service. Thank you so very much, Yvonne, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to go to Glenn County next. There we go. Don't I have an awesome staff? Can you believe the way they just flash these things up so quickly?
Yay.
I can catch up as best I can. Janet Lacey is a pianist and an organist at the Federation Church in Orland, also a docent at the Orland Arts Center. I've had the pleasure of stopping in there some time ago, and a former president of the Women's Improvement Club. She was selected as Orland's Citizen of the Year this year and Grand Marshal in the Fall Parade. Janet, congratulations. Really delighted that you've done all those years of service for the community of Orland. Also, we have Barbara Mann. Barbara is from Willows, a dedicated community servant. She's a current PTA and treasurer of the Derby. I need to figure out what the Willows Lamb Derby is all about. Stony Ford Horseman, I got that. Is this a race? Perhaps it is. Barbara, you'll have to share with us. Thank you and congratulations to both Janet and Barbara. I see, there we go. Colusa County.
Oh, look at, now there, yeah, we're getting.
There we are. Hi, there's Barbara.
Good.
We can say a couple words, Barbara. Delighted that you're with us tonight. And I see you have some helpers behind you. I've got my helper next to me. Thank you for joining us, Barbara. And Janet, I think, did I see your face come up on the screen? There we go.
There you go.
There we go, Barbara.
And Janet.
Okay, let's go to Colusa County. Colusa County, we have Denise Conrado. Denise is a former school administrator. She's now an activist and a dedicated volunteer. She currently serves as co-leader of Indivisible Colusa County and is a founding member of the Colusa County Democratic Central Committee. Yeah, it is campaign season. I know you're busy, Denise, so carry on. I love working with you. Thank you so very much. And it's not because of the work you've done on politics. It's because of the work that you've done for the community. I know full good and well the organizing that you have done as an administrator in the school and beyond. So congratulations on all of that.
And it's quite an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Okay, Stacy Costello. Hello, Stacy. Stacy's the Director of Library Services at the Colusa County Library, where she oversees summer free lunch program for children under 18 and the financial literacy program. Needless to say, the COVID-19 pandemic has seriously challenged Stacy and every other person that's responsible for making sure that Americans don't go hungry. So Stacy, you've been very, very busy. I know you've had to implement a digital story times program, curbside pickup for food, and in 2018, you were named Outstanding Librarian in support of literacy. Great challenge for all of us, and particularly for the food services and for the food programs. Arranging all of that's not easy, Stacy. Congratulations, and thank you for caring so much about those that go hungry.
Debbie, if people are, I think a lot of people just need to know that they can raise their hand and their face will, or live face will pop up also.
When I read your brief bio, take a moment to hit that mute button, unmute yourself, and you can say a few words along the way. We could back up after, I'm going to be finished with Colusa County here after Juanita Smith, and then we can back up, and a couple of folks I'm sure may want to say a couple of words. Juanita is a dedicated community advocate and volunteer. She helps with the most vulnerable, working towards reducing hunger. In 1998, she co-founded the Colusa County Food Basket Association that has served food on an average of 450 local families every holiday season. She's collaborated with the local veterans groups to create a registry to ensure that veterans are honored on Memorial Day. And there she is with one of the Memorial Day placards that is so well-deserved for those people that have served in the military programs. Juanita, congratulations to you and also to the other two from Colusa County. Okay, Juanita, if you hit that mute button if you want, and Denise, I think you said a quick hello. And Stacy.
So, sir, I'd just like to remind our honorees that once you introduce them and recognize them, if they would like to say something, there's a little microphone icon that they can unmute if they would like to say a few words.
Yeah.
Patty.
Yeah. Oh, there. Even if we can just see them while they're, everybody got. So we can see them in real life as they receiving their award.
Hi, and thank you. I'm Stacy.
That's what I'm here for. I'd love to be looking at you. Yes.
Thank you,
Polly's
Stacy.
reading. That's good.
Denise?
Yes. Denise, if you can back up a little bit.
And what?
There we go.
For the honor, I appreciate being nominated. I appreciate the honor, and thank you. I appreciate the work that you do too, Congressman Garamendi and Patty. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Juanita? Okay, you don't need to be shy. Listen to what Debbie just said a moment ago. That little red icon is usually at the top right hand of the screen.
Upper right hand.
That is the video, and you can hit both or hit both of them, and then we get to see you and hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Ready, set, Solano County. There we go. Hi, Judy. Judy is a longtime community supporter. She's used her extensive knowledge of the tax processes to assist numerous nonprofits. She's also a semi-retired staff member of the Collinsville Levy District. There is no such thing as a semi-retired woman. Doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen.
There you go. Yeah.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, how are you, Congressman? You may have remembered my husband, Jim Bowie with Communication Workers of America. He's been a longtime supporter of yours.
Oh, yeah.
And he always
Mhm.
thought highly of you, and so many of us do, because of the unbelievable work that you do for the people back here, in addition to recognizing women that do a whole heck of a lot of work. I'd like to thank Pat Dennis and Emma Green for recommending me for this, and I truly appreciate the honor. And I'm going to put the plaque in a real good space for everyone to see at home. Thank
There
you.
go. That's the
Thank
way
you.
to do it, Judy. I do remember your husband so very well. He was an extraordinary leader in the CWA.
Yes.
Well, and thank you for your great example of just punching the button and stepping up. That's
There you go.
Never been shy. Thank you.
Okay, Wendy Breckon. Wendy's retired as administrative law judge for the California Unemployment Insurance Board and as a former environmental specialist for the EPA. She's the founder and chair of the Vacaville Community Association and advocates for increased transparency and accountability in local government, bringing policy changes at the city level. We like that activism. Wendy, congratulations. Keep up all that work, and retired now. You're just on to a different task right now, straightening out, which is a great community.
Mhm.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I was very surprised by this, and I want to thank Christina Palmer for recommending me. And I feel like I don't deserve it with all these other amazing women, but I just really appreciate the honor. Thank you.
You do deserve the honor, and we all profit by your great example in the community. I think our next, Lois Cross of Dixon. We don't have a photo up there, Lois, but you may be on, and if you are, you can hit your video button, and after I tell everybody about you. Lois is the System Line Director for Sutter Health and Sutter Medical Foundation, expanding the walk-in clinic to 27. I remember so very well when all the folks in Rio Vista or Dixon became concerned about not being able to get to a clinic, and here was a solution. Amid the COVID-19 panic, Lois has worked to provide video visits to military personnel from Travis and Beale Air Force Base. She's a professor at Samuel Merritt School of Nursing and president of the American Case Management Association of Northern California, and a national expert speaker on the ACA, otherwise known as the Affordable Care Act. So, Lois?
Yes. Well, this truly is an honor. Thank you so much. I just can't even believe, like some of the others, that I've been considered for something like this. So I've appreciated your support over the years, both in Washington, D.C. and here in Northern California, and just really appreciate this honor.
Well, we appreciate the work that you've done, Lois. Andrea Garcia. Hello, Andrea. Andrea is the Associate VP of University Advancement for Torio University and is an active community leader. She's the president of the Solano Hispanic Chamber and an advisor to the Suisun City Economic Pandemic Impact Committee. She helped to create the Mosaic celebration, raising funds to provide scholarships to students with diverse backgrounds to help them with their college tuition. Andrea, congratulations to you. Your work at the university is extraordinary. The number of students that are coming out of there in the medical profession is so very, very important for Northern California and beyond.
Thank you for saying that, Congressman. We are very proud at Toro, but to change the channel, this is such an honor, and I'm actually speechless. And for those who know me know that I'm never speechless. This is just amazing to be on this panel with everyone here. You know, to get to this point, we needed to have a foundation of people behind us. And I think that it's important to recognize them. If it wasn't for my family, my friends, my colleagues, for Shelley Berkeley, Sarah Schweitzer, I feel like I'm at the Oscars saying a thank you. But if it wasn't for them, I really would not have the opportunities to give back so much time because of the belief and because of my belief in giving back to the community. So, and thank you to Stephanie Garcia, my wonderful daughter, for the nomination, and Tom Phillips. And I'm sorry for taking up so much time. Thank you.
We love seeing your family behind you. Look at all of that.
Oh, I have my parents, my mom, my dad, my son, and my husband, and the dog's outside, and the cat back there.
Hey.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Nicole Howell. Hello, Nicole. Nicole is the Executive Director of Ombudsman Services for Contra Costa, Solano, and Alameda, ensuring that 29,000 long-term care residents and their families has access to the highest level of care. She's provided tremendous help to the elderly communities amid the COVID-19 crisis by helping to provide PPEs, personal protection equipment, to over 15,000 residents in the long-term care facilities. A very, very difficult situation in long-term care. And only with this kind of very personal attention will the tragedies that have occurred be lessened and eliminated. Nicole, thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Mrs. Garamendi, for this tremendous honor. I want to appreciate Jenna Lee Dawson, who nominated me. I'm also here with two of your former nominees, Rochelle Sherlock and Cindy Unger. They have just the dearest of friends to me and have helped me to serve so many seniors. I sincerely appreciate it. And I want to say I accept this on behalf of all those people who are fighting the fight for seniors right now, particularly those in long-term care. And I also want to say thank you to my parents, Mary Lee and Leroy Howell, who provided a way for me to do this kind of work. And I always like to say to my grandmother, I always wear her union pin. She passed away 2 years ago. She was a hotel maid. That families can go from elementary school graduates to high school graduates if given the opportunity. So I just want to say to all of you out there, thank you so much. This is beyond what I could have dreamed.
Nicole, congratulations.
Oh, beautiful. Wow.
And for the past recipients, yes, pass it on. Nicole, it'll be your turn next year to pass it on. Don Labar. Hello, Don. Don works in the Fairfield City Manager's Office and the Fairfield Homeless Service Division, leading the city's revitalization project and the affordable housing programs. During COVID-19, she helped build Fairfield's Project Room Key program and secured additional funding to ensure that individuals have an opportunity to move on to permanent housing. Don, congratulations. Thank you for the work you do. We know that homeless and housing remains a major issue. And with COVID and the economic problems, it's become even a greater problem. Your work is going to be full in the days ahead. Don, welcome.
Thank you, Congressman Garamendi and Mrs. Garamendi. This is such an honor for me. You just have no idea. I also want to thank Fairfield Police Chief Walt Tibbet for the nomination, who has really been my partner in crime through all of this, because obviously homelessness is not something that we can handle ourselves. Obviously, it really does take partnerships, and a lot of my partners are also with us tonight, and I want to thank all of my sisters as well for helping us through this revolution. And it does take partnerships, and it takes the support of our families and our friends, and I couldn't do this alone. So thank you. It truly is an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. You've reminded me of something that we intended to do in September, but the COVID-19 has delayed it. Throughout this district, there are numerous successful homeless programs. We wanted to do a big bring your best practice to the 8 counties and to the cities. And we were going to all get together and talk about best practices. We may be able to do it in the coming year. If we do in person, I'd want you to be there and talk about the best practices. I know that many of the other participants have been involved in either the food programs or the homeless or the combination of the two. So we're going to try to do that, share the best practices that are out there. Don, I know that Fairfield has some terrific practices that you get to work on.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, Kathleen Latimer. Kathleen was a teacher for 27 years in the Fairfield-Sassoon School District, is now a lecturer at UC Davis and curriculum coach for the California Department of Education. Kathleen is dedicated to helping other teachers and bring quality education to their students. Interesting background, Kathleen. So share with us if you would, please.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen, and I'm really excited and honored to be recognized. I have a passion for mathematics education, and that's what I teach, and that's what I work hard to make sure that all students have access to quality mathematics instruction. Thank you.
And you and other teachers have an enormous challenge with distance learning and the upset schedules of COVID. I know you all work through it.
And we're stepping up to the challenge. Indeed
you are. And 3 of our children are also working in that same challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Alice McBride. Hello, Alice. Alice is a preacher, coach, mentor, and consultant. She's the founder and CEO of the Angelic Tabernacle of Christ Universal Ministries and has created several ministries to provide aid to the community. She's also a volunteer chapel coordinator at the David Grant Medical Center on Travis Air Force Base. Alice, welcome. Delighted you're one of our participants, and congratulations and thank you for your work.
Thank you. I am so excited about this honoree that I'm getting right now. I thank God too, and I thank God because I really reach out to the community because my heart goes out to the hurting, and especially with us dealing with this coronavirus right now. There's so many people hurting, and I just thank God that my heart goes out, my prayers go out that things would turn around and people be able to get a new grip, a new lifting, and everything should turn around in a respect, in a way that things would get much better. I really give honor and praise to my mentor, Barbara Graham, that presented me to you, and I thank God for you for giving me this opportunity to be able to say something. And I'm still amazed. I'm still excited about this. So again, Congressman, I say thank you.
Alice, I may want to call you up one morning or one afternoon when we have a particularly bad day somewhere out there, and you can give me one of those uplifting messages that I know that you're so well known for. So yeah. We'll get your telephone number and pass it around, because given COVID-19, all of us have a down day and we need help.
Yes, we do. We all do. Not a problem. I'll give you my number, and I'll be more than pleased to be able to give you some form of uplifting, encouragement to make your day.
We all need that, and I do have your telephone number. You may get a call one morning.
All right. Call me anytime.
Thank you, Alice. Susan. Susan Rocci is the co-founder of Research for the Cure, a community activist and volunteer. She advocates for people with disabilities and works to secure funding for medical research. She helped pass the Roman Reed Spinal Injury Research Act of 2000, as well as the Stem Cell Research and Cures Act of 2004. Susan, your work and my work interact here, but why don't we hear from you first, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of things that your background brings to my mind.
So, Congressman Garamendi, we actually approached you years ago, and you supported our bill. And, and at that time, I think I was a student at one of the community college. I did end up moving forward, got my bachelor's degree, and now I serve people with disabilities as the executive director at Independent Living Resources. And I am so thrilled and amazed at all these women to be in that league. And I know that we all work together to feed our homeless, our seniors, people with disabilities, to all the underserved in our communities. And I know we work all endlessly, and to be in this category is such an honor.
Well, really, your work is really important, particularly the spinal issues. We're getting very, very close. And we know that in some research that's gone on, both in human as well, mostly in animal research, the spinal cord can be regenerated. And it comes from this project that you worked on, the 2004 Bond Act that passed way back in 2004. We had some ideas that we could do research in this area, and it's really taken off. And there's going to be really a solution to a lot of the disabilities caused by nerve damages. So, Susan, thank you so very much, and for all of your work.
Thank you.
Mary Vasquez. Mary has worked at UC Davis for 13 years, where she's the Associate Director of the Academic Senate. She's also involved with several community organizations and has spent the last 7 years supporting CAL Inc., CARES Relay for Life team, which has raised over $20 million for the American Cancer Society. Mary, congratulations. Thank you for your work. The Academic Senate. There is a hard task. Talk about a group of people that are in agreement on one thing, and that is difference. So, Mary, how do you work with the Academic Senate?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you all. Thank you, Congressman Garamendi, for this award. And thank you to Christina Baird Palmer for nominating me. Working at UC Davis for 13 years has been a challenge in itself. I love my recent exposure to shared governance and faculty governance at the UC, being a UC Davis graduate and alumni myself. It has been interesting and very just exciting. But more recently, these three children inspire me to do more in the community. And I'm working right now, or serving on the Parks and Rec Commission with the city of Vacaville. And so that is kind of my new adventure. And just really excited to be involved, and just super honored to be in the same category as all of these amazing women. I feel like I'm just getting started, and I don't even have as much experience as all of these women on the Zoom call. So I feel like I'm just getting started and ready to serve in more capacity in Vacaville, and make Vacaville a better place for these three young folks. Yeah. But thank you so much for the honor.
Carry on your work with the Academic Senate. The shared governance is really, really important for the success of the university.
It's very, very important. I feel very lucky to be working there and working with all the faculty at UC Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeanette Wiley. Hello, Jeanette. Jeanette's a retired educator and community advocate. She retired after 22 years as a teacher with Travis Unified School District, and spent 8 years as president of the Travis Unified Teachers Association. She currently serves in the county's Democratic Central Committee, where she has promoted accountability for leadership and encourages civic engagement. Jeanette, thank you for all of your work. Travis Unified District is one that is a very special district, serving the Travis Air Force Base and the community around it. So good talk, Janet, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. And I will miss seeing you in the kitchen at the crab feed for the Democratic Central Committee for Solano, since I know you always like to have some crab there. We won't be able to do that because of the COVID right now. And thank you for all your work for Travis Air Force Base, because that is so important for Solano County. And also, thank you both for this honor. And this is a really nice ceremony to be able to do that with virtually, since we can't be together in person. I also want to thank Christina Baird Palmer for nominating me. And she embodies what we need to do, is talk to more volunteers and get more people involved, because when we have our citizens and residents of Solano County involved, it helps everyone. So thank you very much, and I'm honored to be here with all these other wonderful women from Solano County and other counties in the 3rd region. Thank you.
Jeanette, thank you so very much. I think we're going to go to Yolo County now. Indeed, we are. Amy Brewer. Amy, welcome. Amy's the president of the North Bay Healthcare Group. Her leadership has led to the launch of a neurosurgery and robotic surgery program at the healthcare group. She's also introduced 2 community urgent care clinics and the opening of a state-of-the-art hospital wing. She's been instrumental in doing all of these things during the COVID-19 crisis and setting up the North Bay Healthcare Group to deal with an extraordinary challenge. Amy?
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Congressman Garamendi and Mrs. Garamendi. It's an obvious honor to be amongst all these incredible women. And I just really want to acknowledge the phenomenal women that work side by side me at North Bay every day, who are bedside with COVID patients every single day, fighting the COVID fight, which continues to go on. And we thank you for your continued support and advocacy throughout this year.
I suspect that more than a few of the honorees tonight are aware of the first COVID patients in the United States were in your healthcare organization and received it.
Yeah.
So you've been at this for day one.
We had the honor of the patients from Wuhan, China, who came through Travis Air Force Base, and then we also had the honor of the first community-acquired case. So we have learned a lot this year and are grateful for the support, and again, our incredible team of physicians and staff who put themselves in harm's way, every day, and do it with such ease.
And I see your son is there next to you, so he's going to be following his mother's lead, I suspect, in the healthcare sector.
Future
Brenda,
surgeon.
I'm sure. Brenda Cameron. Hello, Brenda. Brenda is a lab manager in the UC Davis Evolution and Ecology Department. She's a community leader who volunteers in several youth organizations throughout the Davis area. Brenda, thank you for your work. You have a very interesting job as a lab manager, dealing with, well, all the laboratory issues that are found at UC Davis. Delighted you're with us. Thank you for all of your work with the youth organizations in the Davis area.
Thank you. I'm really humbled. I wanted to thank Vanita Dorme, who nominated me, and Sheila Allen, who is also a previous recipient. They're amazing women that I met more than 20 years ago when our kids started school together. And when my volunteerism really changed routes to youth organizations, PTAs, school site councils, and actually for the more than 20 years now, Girl Scouts. And I am honored, and I love, and I'm passionate about helping young girls and their leaders discover who they can be. And that I'm part of helping to build the next generation of amazing women, hopefully in science and STEM careers, but in leadership, and more importantly, that they carry with them a lifelong ambition to volunteer in their communities, because I think that that's the volunteer route is how we really build strong communities and vibrant communities that are going to survive. So thank you, and I'm humbled with all of these other women and amazing work that they do. So thank you.
Brenda, we thank you for your work. I was thinking about a young woman who is now a freshman at UC Berkeley who spent her sophomore, junior, and senior year working in a university laboratory. And she's going to be one of those future scientists out there, your STEM programs. I suspect you invited those same kids into your labs.
I've had so many high school interns, junior high interns, junior college interns, summer programs from all kinds of diversity HBCU students. Over the 30 years now I've been in the lab, I've seen so many students come through, mentoring them, giving them that leg up, that little bit of extra help they need so that they can make it.
That is a common theme for all of the honorees of the past as well as the present. That's mentoring. Many different ways to do it. The next is Rachel Davidson. Hello, Rachel. Rachel is the area director of the Sacramento Downtown Streets program, which provides resources and care to the homeless. She's known for the dedication, compassion, and respect that she brings in her work to a very vulnerable community. Rachel, thank you for caring about all of us, particularly those who are homeless and in need.
Thank you so much, Congressman and Ms. Garamendi. This is an incredible honor. I'm very humbled to be sitting on this panel with all of you amazing women who as I listen to each story and all of the work that you're doing in the community, I feel so incredibly inspired. I want to thank Nolan Sullivan, who nominated me. Nolan, to say that I'm shocked is doesn't give it justice, but I'm so incredibly inspired by the work that you do, Nolan, and so grateful for the opportunity to work with you. I think every day that I just am so incredibly lucky to get to work with individuals who show me the meaning of resilience and dedication and community. And that's really what working with our team members and our unhoused neighbors provides me with. And I want to make sure to thank, the women who get up every day and decide to follow their passion and follow their dream. And in doing so, have paved the path for all of us to be here. And that person for me is really our CEO and founder, Eileen Richardson. I wouldn't get to do this incredible work that I get to do if it wasn't for Eileen following her passion and being brave enough to be a woman taking on such a huge, huge issue in California and Northern California. And I just want to say thank you to Eileen and to all of my colleagues that I get to work with every day. You guys inspire me and help me to wake up each day and just love the work that I get to do. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing there, Rachel. And you've just been recruited to our best practices meeting, which will be hopefully around the first of the year.
Thank you.
Hello, Anne Marie. Anne Marie is the Community Development Officer for Mutual Housing. She works with many nonprofit organizations focused on affordable housing and education within the community on financial security. With COVID-19, she's volunteered with the YOLO Food Bank, organized and delivered over 30,000 meals. All of you may have noticed a common theme among all of the honorees. It's really about service. It's about caring. It's the empathy that all of you possess. And Anne-Marie, you certainly have in the work that you're doing. Thank you for all of that and congratulations.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate the award. I am honored to be among this group of impactful and powerful women who are giving back to our communities. And I thank my colleagues at Mutual Housing for the nomination. I'm feel really humbled and honored by it. And while I appreciate being in the limelight for this minute, I really want to just shine it back out to all of the women who are doing the work day in and day out in our communities to bring about the changes that we really need to see. And we have a lot of work left to do, and we could use all the energy we can get. So I'm shining the light back out to everyone and hoping that we can really come together in community to do what we need to do. So thank you for the honor. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your work. Letitia Karate is the Healthcare Enrollment Counselor for Winters Healthcare Foundation and a community activist. She actively advocates for the health of local migrant seasonal farm workers. She is the current president of the Winters Hispanic Advisory Council and has supported programs to help people on the pathway to become a U.S. citizen. Letitia, thank you for your work. Again, a vulnerable community with an extraordinary individual to help them along their way. Letitia, are you going to be able to join us? Well, if you can't hit the mute button right away, hit it sometime along the way, and we'll come back to you, Letitia. Your program in Winters, I've had the pleasure of passing through, looking with some of the work that you've done. Our next recipient is Sarah Johnson. Hello, Sarah. Sarah is a paralegal in the Yolo County Public Defender's Office. She works tirelessly on behalf of rehabilitation of incarcerated individuals. As a disaster service worker during COVID, she's worked with Project Room Key, assisting and advocating for the homeless, and volunteered with the YOLO Food Bank. Sarah, thank you for that work. Once again, vulnerable community, and here you are, helping along the way.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Congressman Garamendi and Mrs. Garamendi. Huge honor. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm just astounded to be included in this group of, as I have heard many of you say, but really all of you are just totally incredible. And I really want to say thank you to my sponsor, Emily Coakley, who I work with. She's a social worker at the Yolo County Public Defender, and she is truly should be getting this award right alongside me since she worked with me. I also want to say thanks to my boss, Chief Public Defender Tracy Olson, who is another woman who should be getting this award. And I just wanted to say I appreciate the chance to remember that the people who are incarcerated are part of our communities. And so, I just want to think of them as community members. And so thanks for the opportunity to do that.
It's a very interesting challenge that we've never really successfully addressed. And that's when a person has completed their term to successfully reintegrate in the community. It's something at the federal level we've paid more attention to. We've got a long way to go. And your work on this is going to be useful in advising us on things that might be done better or be done at all.
Would be very delighted to give you any of my advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Letitia.
Sarah.
Excuse me, Sarah. I jumped backward for a moment. Corky Apollo. Corky is the Director of Operations for the Yolo County Food Bank. She led the team in distributing more than 5 million pounds of food and is responsible for helping to feed over 45,000 residents in Yolo County each month. She also volunteers to help distribute essential items to victims of the LNU complex fire. Cookie, you've been a busy person. And
I have.
From what we have seen from the honorees thus far, many of them are integrated into your program.
They are, and I'd like to thank you and Mrs. Garamendi and say that yes, a lot of your women are volunteers, and we're so grateful for all of their volunteerism. And I too am very honored and very shocked to get this award. And I too would like to thank my sponsor, Joy Cohen. She's their Director of Philanthropy here at the Yolo Food Bank. This award would not be possible. I couldn't do this work without the help of all of my co-directors, all of our staff here at the Yolo Food Bank, all of our volunteers. I'd also like to thank my husband, Alan, for all the time that I spend here at the food bank, that he has to stay and help me or be home. But I also am a very kind of shy person, but this is an honor I've never dreamed of ever receiving, and I'm just really thankful. And I'd also like to thank our board of directors. They make the food bank what it is today, along with our executive director, Michael Fish. This is such an honor, and thank you so much.
You know, if I could add, Corky, you reminded me that I usually, at these wonderful events, I usually remind everybody at the beginning that receiving this congressional award means your name will be entered in the Library of Congress. And so forever and ever, your children, your grandchildren will be able to find this moment. And when we started this, we wanted it to be for just the exact mix of people that are being honored tonight. So many of our unsung heroes. And the joy is that you always feel so humble, and we've seen this throughout, and you get to nominate somebody in your place next year. So all of you are sitting there thinking, oh, but so-and-so does this and so-and-so does that. Well, you just have to think of one person and not pay it forward, nominate them.
Thank you, Patty. That's a great honor. That'll live with me forever. And here at the food bank, we have a lot of great women, and we have a lot of great volunteer women. And thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Corky. Julie Martin. Hello, Julie. Julie is the founder of the Yolo County chapter of 100 Plus Women Who Care. She volunteers her time and energy to ensure local nonprofit organizations receive funding and maintain their work throughout the COVID-19 crisis. Really important to help the nonprofit organizations to provide them with guidance, encouragement, and figure out where the money might be to keep them going. Julie, thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to receive this award and so humbled to be among these amazing women, especially so many who are doing, really doing the work on the ground. When we started 100 Women Who Care, we wanted to bring women together to support the local work happening at our great nonprofits. And at that time, it was me and a steering committee of 7 who I want to thank for this nomination: Marissa Baskett, Brill Albert, Joanna Friesner, Melanie Meese, Jody Mulegger, and Teresa Steele. It really has been the 7 of us who brought this group together, but we were so pleased that so many wanted to join us, and it has been such a wonderful experience of bringing people together in this giving circle model to just amplify one another and see what we can do to help the community in a very simple model. So I really too, I am just so I was so shocked and surprised to be included among these women, and I'm so honored for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. We're going to now go a little north. We're going to go up to Sutter, Yuba counties. We often include these 2 counties together. They are joined by a bridge or 2 bridges across the river, the Feather River. Adrian Carper McKinsey is our first recipient from the Plumas Lake area. Adrian's a former prosecutor and deputy city attorney for Sacramento. She served as deputy legal affairs secretary in Governor Brown's administration. She began a consulting firm working to empower young women, created a mentorship program to support African-American law students, and has been involved in several veteran stand-down programs there in the Sutter Yuba area. Adrian, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Congressman and Mrs. Garamendi. I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for the honor tonight. I feel very thankful and very grateful for this. I, of course, want to thank my family who is on the Zoom chat as the attendee, so I have to give them honor for making the woman that I am today. And then last but not least, of course, I have to give honor to my husband who, through all of the crazy things that I've dragged him along with, he sat there and said, okay, I'll go along on the ride with you. And so thank you again for this honor. And thanks to all of the honorees. You guys are all amazing.
I have some understanding of being along for the ride. Adrian, thank you very much. A very interesting background, and the veteran stand-down programs are very, very important. Often and usually dealing with homeless veterans or veterans that have some very serious issues. Thank you for that work. Next we have Christine Christine Cassidy. Christine has spent has spent 31 years with the Adventist Health System. She guided Adventist Health through the intense period of change, assisted with the recovery efforts during the campfire, and became a driving force during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think all of us have noticed the role that the healthcare system administrators and leaders are playing in our current life as we deal with COVID-19. Christine, you're among those that are working so hard to keep us healthy.
Well,
Congratulations.
thank you,
To your
Congressman.
continued work.
Yes, thank you, Congressman. This is a great honor, and I'm very humbled to be, as the rest have said, part of this group. I want to thank Marnie Sanders, our CEO of our local Chamber of Commerce, who nominated me. I was shocked by the nomination to be involved with this award, and I appreciate the recognition tonight. This is a really great event. Thank you so much.
I think perhaps most are not aware that the Adventist program in the Yuba City, Marysville, is absolutely critical.
It is.
Major change way, and you brought in the administrative support necessary to keep the system up and operating very, very well and effectively.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Very much.
Thank you for that. Next, we have Norinda Dawala of Yuba City. Norinda is the project director for California Clean Air Project and a public health advocate. She has promoted health and quality of life for all of her community and has been recognized for her success in promoting smoke-free environments. She served on the National Child Safety Board, the Peachtree Healthcare Programs, and several other community organizations. Norinda, congratulations. If you can figure out how to keep the wildfire smoke out of our communities, we will give even more awards.
Congressman and Mrs. Garamendi, thank you so much for this honor. I cannot tell you how shocked and surprised I was to be a nominee and to be among these amazing women that are receiving this award today. And I would be remiss to not recognize the organization that allows me to give my time back to my local community. ETR, Education, Training, Research, we are led by a fearless leader, Dr. Vignetta Charles. We advocate for health equity by designing science-based solutions. And our mission is to improve health and increase opportunities for youth, families, and communities. And I am thankful for Abby Cecina for nominating me alongside with Diane Kaiser, Dr. Kaiser, and just hope that this gives hope for the younger generation, the younger women that are up and coming and moving into going through school and college and getting out there and to give back to their communities, to the women within my family and to my grandchildren and granddaughters. And you know, this came in an incredible year. It's the 100 years of women's rights to vote. It's a year that we have COVID and we were all restricted to working from home and finding ways to like continue our work. It's the year my father passed away. It's the year that I can like thank my mother who's still with us and challenging through these difficult times with dad going, and it all came in 2020. And so I am so very thankful and fortunate to have the family that I have, not just my family, but my extended family within the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you for all the work that you've done in the community. Dr. Kung Liu, there you are, Dr. Liu. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us on some of our town halls early in the COVID crisis. You've served as the Bi-County Public Health Officer for Yuba and Sutter counties, not one, but both counties. And you've been very, very busy in the COVID crisis. I know you've worked tirelessly dealing with the health crisis, how to deal with the various outbreaks that have occurred, and enormous pressure being put upon you as you try to keep people healthy and recognize the economic needs of the community. You may be one of the very few public health officers that are still standing. I can list a long list of others that have decided under the pressure of the job to step aside. But there you are, continuing your work. You're overseeing all of that that's out there, how to keep our community healthy. I know you also have worked on typhoons in other parts of the world, specifically Typhoon U2, which I think affected the community from which your family has come. Is that correct?
Where I used to work, yeah. So
where you used to work.
I'm from Seattle, but I used to work in Saipan. So Typhoon U2 was a super typhoon. So I'll take this time to unmute myself to, first of all, thank you, Congressman Garamendi and Mrs. Garamendi, for this extraordinary honor. I'm very surprised, and I'm very humbled to join such a phenomenal group of women. And it just really heartens me to see that women are getting work done, right? And we know that. And I really just reiterates that. I want to extend my deep appreciation to Mr. Robin Dorf, my mentor and guru who nominated me. This came as an extraordinary surprise. And then I have to extend my appreciation for my partner, Ryan. He maintains my sanity in all this crazy COVID-19 public health response, and also my family, because without them, you would not have Dr. Fong Lu here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. And we got a lot more work out ahead of us. This COVID's not going to be over for a while. Know that I and others who are aware of your work support you in the difficult task that you have. So carry on, and thank you for that. Our next is Janie Null. Hello, Janie. Saw you earlier a few moments ago, saw you a few days ago at Beale Air Force Base. Janie is the chair of the Beale Military Liaison Council. She's a community leader committed to serving those who serve our country. She's an invaluable member of the Beale Military Liaison Council. In fact, she is the leader of it, as well as the Governor's Military Council and the Air Combat Commanders Group and the Air Force Civic Leaders Group. And she's my advisor on all things Beale. She does also serve on several boards and community organizations. Janie, thank you for your leadership, the way in which you've been able to bring the generals, 1, 2, 3, 4 star generals, into line and keep them fully aware of the enormous necessity for Beale Air Force Base. So Janie, your turn.
Well, Congressman and Mrs. Garamendi, thank you so much for this honor. What a great group of women to be a part of. I'm in awe and I'm inspired, and to be actually honored for something that I love doing, supporting our Beale military people and military in general in California. It is such an incredibly important part of our nation in keeping us safe. I want to also thank Beale for their nomination, but I also want to thank my daughter for wanting me to be better, to try harder, and to never give up. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Janie. Like many of you, I look forward to the next time we get together to carry on the work that you do and that I'm able to join you in. Betty Nelson. Betty is the finance director and volunteer coordinator for Casa de Esperanza. She has educated the community on domestic violence and used her expertise to organize and pioneer the sexual assault response teams at Travis and Beale Air Force Base. We've had other people from Casa de Esperanza in previous programs, and I'm sure that Betty, you're carrying on a great tradition here.
Thank you. I'm very honored and humbled to have been selected in reference to this. I want to thank Janine Warner, a past recipient, for nominating me. And I'd also like to thank you and your wife for choosing to take this project on. And honor the unsung heroes of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Carrying on your work, we know that domestic violence is a continuing problem and an increasing one in the age of COVID. The troubles, the tensions, and concerns that individuals, families have all too often manifest in domestic violence. So your work continues on. Jeanette Oshner, I think I have that right, Jeanette, is a dedicated volunteer with the Sutter County Library. She serves as a tutor for the citizenship preparation and adult ESL classes. She also volunteers to help coordinate the multicultural women's dance, encouraging multicultural dances and promoting diversity in the community. I've had the pleasure of attending a couple of your programs over the years, Jeanette. Thank you so very much for making our communities inclusive.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to say I feel like all of my life I've been in the company of such incredible women. My mother, my grandmothers, one of my grandmothers was born in 1919, and my sister, my daughter's daughter-in-law, and so many great friends. And I am really grateful to be part of this incredible company of women here tonight. I feel like I feel very humbled and amazed at all the things they've done. I especially appreciate other women in Sutter County, some of whom I know well and who've just contributed so much to our community. And one place, another group of incredible women is the women that, many of the women that I've taught as students in our program. These immigrant women have come, some of them from just incredibly difficult, sometimes violent situations. And they come here and they just go about the lives of their families. And then they come and want to learn English and want to participate in our country as citizens. And they work hard and they work cheerfully. And I'm always so impressed with them. And I just want to thank Neetu, who with Tajinder nominated me for tonight. I appreciate that. And just a quick congratulations to Neetu. She was a Woman of the Year for 2019, and she just received her RN. So thanks again.
Great. Thank you so very much, Jeanette. Next is Julie Shepard of Sutter. Julie's a dedicated volunteer and community leader. She's treasurer for the Sutter Youth Organization and the Yuba City Type 1 Diabetes Support Group. She volunteers for several organizations in the community, including Friends of the Fair, Bike Around the Buttes, and gee, that looks like the Sutter Yuba 4-H symbol that you're holding up there, Julie. I think I've seen you at the auction more than a couple of times. Congratulations, Julie. You can hit the mute button and the.
Sorry.
There you are.
Hi, thank you very, very much for this honor. And thank you to Michael Dickenmeyer, who is our Sutter County Supervisor, for nominating me. This is a great honor. So I just want to say thanks.
Well, thank you for the work that you do. The 4-H, what do we have, Patty? 4 or 5 of our grandchildren?
Yeah, it was hard.
Been in the 4-H?
Yeah, it's hard for everybody to sell their animals this year, but you pulled it together.
Yeah, 4-H is a wonderful program. I recommend it to all, any child who's interested. It is just a great program. My kids loved it.
You know, it's interesting that we often talk about vocational education. The 4-H is the precursor to the FFA program in the high school. And the FFA program is a vocational education program that exists in almost every rural, semi-urban high school. And it's far more than agriculture. And we talk about building the vocational education. It's there, it needs to be expanded. And the 4-H is the entryway to that program. So Julie, thank you so very much. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Gina Tarke. Gina, is a dedicated community volunteer. She's known for her work ethic and extensive service to the community of Sutter. She's the driving force for many youth and community projects in the community, such as the Community Flag Project. That is one big flag program that you have there in Sutter. The Yuba Sutter 4-H and many, many more. Gina, congratulations. Thank you for all that you do for the community.
Well, thank you, Congressman Garamendi and Mrs. Garamendi. I'm, like everyone else, honored and humbled to be given this honor. And I too want to thank Sutter County Supervisor Mike Sigemeyer for nominating me. I also want to thank my husband David and my boys for always supporting me and being able to do all the extracurricular things that I do. I know my write-up says my kids are already grown, but I actually still have one in high school. So we keep going. But my work is managing our family farm, but I managed to get a lot of flexibility to focus on my passion, which is youth development. And I've been fortunate to do that in church programs, in Britton Elementary School, Sutter Union High School, various youth sports, and most importantly for me, the 4-H program. And I've always set the bar really high for the youth and tried to push them to be leaders and community servants and to really grow and be part of the community. And so I always look to what they can do for the future. And I'd like to share this award with all of the youth that I currently help and that I've helped in the past. So many of them are young adults doing amazing things out in their communities. And I'm so, so proud of them. So, and many of them, some of our other awardees, their children I helped with the 4-H program, and they're all doing amazing work. And I just want to say thank you. And it's my pleasure to serve the youth of our community.
Gina, thank you, and so very, very well said. Those are the words that are repeated by every one of the awardee in almost the same way and with the community service programs. Maria Trier. Hello, Marie. Marie is the board member for Casa de Esperanza. She has been recognized for several awards for her work helping those in need, including the Hometown Hero Award, Ambassador of the Year Award for the state of California, and the William Dunlap Fellowship Award. Marie, it's a pleasure seeing you in this position. Congratulations. Look forward to hearing your comments.
Thank you, Congressman. First, I would like to say that I have members of the 4 of the boards I serve on here to celebrate with me tonight, and past awardee Julia with Casa de Esperanza. So I'm very honored to be with amazing women, and what a great year to be recognized. It's really an honor.
Marie,
thank you.
And I see the mask.
Sorry. Post-COVID.
And we're learning new words, aren't we? We're learning how to be COVID. We're learning what Zoom is, or Zooming, now both a verb and a noun. And I suppose it can become an adjective in some way also. Congratulations, Marie. And to Esperanza, your work continues on. And it's been a pleasure for me from time to time to check in and help out where possible.
Absolutely. No, Congressman, October is Domestic Violence Month. So purple is a perfect color.
Indeed it is. It's also the color of the suffragettes.
That's right.
When I decided I'm going to put on a purple tie, and Patty said, terrific. You're doing it for the suffrage movement? Yeah. I hesitated and said, yes, of course. The fact was,
I should also point out all the colors of Live Oak High School. So I'm Key Club advisor for the high school. So that's my colors for you.
a lot of reasons to be purple.
Yeah, it's royal.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Including royalty. You got it. Raj Tumber. Raji, I think I have it right, is a board member of the Yuba Sutter Food Bank and the past board member of the American Red Cross. She volunteers her time for the local Terra Buena Gurdwara, which serves over 20,000 Sikh in the area. She has provided a pathway for more women to be actively involved in breaking down barriers at the two local Gurdwaras. It's a pleasure seeing you in picture, and I suppose in person in a moment. It's been good working with you on and off over the years. Raha, how do I say that name properly?
Raji.
Raja.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you. I don't see a video here, but I hear a voice. Well, thank you for joining us this evening and for your work. I look forward to being able to once again go back for the fall festivals when this COVID is over. In the meantime, I know your work continues on. And thank you for that work. Robin. Robin, this name is actually easier than the name Garamendi. Ziegenmeyer. Is that close? Robin is a dedicated member of the Sutter Youth Organization Foundation. She's made significant contribution to programs benefiting local children and families. She has coached the Little League, organized school field trips, provided digital media for school sports and community organizations in the Sutter area. Robin, congratulations. Thank you for all of that work, reaching out again to the youth in your community. Robin, a couple of words here. Hit your mute button. Well, Robin, I don't think you can find that button, but if you do before this is over, please chime in. I believe that covers all of the 8 counties. And so for all of you, a big shout out and congratulations. I've got 2 hands that are coming together to clap for all of you.
Your turn. Okay.
There you are.
Go. Say Janet. Go ahead.
Hi, Janet.
Hi. I want, first of all, to thank you, sir, for this wonderful, unbelievable honor, and to your lovely wife for all the work she's done for women. Yay. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Mary Rose Kennedy, who was an honoree last year, but did not get to attend the ceremony because she was celebrating her 50th wedding anniversary in Australia.
Well, I recall that very, very well.
And I just thank you so much. It's just awesome, shock to be with all these wonderful women. And I want to also put in a plug for Orland, which is a wonderful community of volunteers and caring people. And I just thank you both and all the women that were here. Thank you again.
Janet, you have a community doctor in Orland. He and I played football at UC Berkeley just a couple of years ago. And just a wonderful, wonderful man. Wife was
yes,
John Schmitz.
Dr. Schmidt. Yes, we love him.
One of those community doctors out there.
They were in our wedding. So we know you're very loved in the community, Janet, and congratulations and thank you for getting back on because we didn't get it quite going right at the beginning. So thank you. Well, anybody else missed out in the first 3 or 4 will pop back on now too.
If you didn't get a chance to say hello to all of us in the earlier rounds, have a go at it now. We're going to go to questions in a few moments.
What about photos?
Sir, this is, sir, I think Raji Tumber would like to speak. If you want to unmute your video and your microphone, you can say a few words. Raji? Okay, I think she's having a little bit of trouble. Are you there? Again, if you'd like to speak, just go to the little icon and unmute your video and the microphone.
Well, there'll be some time to do that. I'm going to go to the last part of our program. Debbie, if you'd like to get it started.
Sure. Yes. So I would just like to congratulate all the amazing women. I loved hearing their stories. We're going to go into a short Q&A right now, and Tessa will come on and explain how the women can ask questions.
Screenshots.
So if you would like to ask a question, please click the raise hand button on your screen. If you called in on your phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Once I call your name, you may unmute yourself and ask a question. If you called in on your phone, you may press *6 to unmute yourself. And it looks like we have one question from Nicole. Nicole, if you would like to unmute yourself and ask your question, you are live.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can, Nicole.
Okay, this is Raji. I'm sorry, some technical difficulties here. I'm with Nicole, my friend, and I apologize for that disconnect for a bit. So anyway, Mr. and Mrs. Garamendi, thank you so much for this honor and honoring my fellow honorees. To listen to all the stories, the ladies speaking, just as inspiring to hear their stories and all the hard work. And I realize the sacrifices, I understand the sacrifices they make to do the work that they do. And thank you, ladies. Also, I'd like to thank Jim Whitaker for nominating me. I've worked on projects with him through several years. And my parents, my father came to Yuba City in 1949, my mother in 51, and they raised their 5 children to be community-minded, to give, to do what you can when you can. And, you know, we did. All 5 of their kids do this in honor of what they represented. We learned by example. My dad was founder of the Sikh Temple on Terra Buena Road, and our theme with our religion is seva, which is service. So it's in our blood, and it feels good. It always feels good to help. And there are folks that I have worked with, Nicole Raghunath, who is with me, sitting with me, and we've done some projects as well. We did a documentary on the immigration of our Punjabi ladies prior to 1965, and it is on PBS. So I would like for her to come here and sit with me because she's my partner, and we do a lot of things together. And in honor of the request that you had for us to wear the purple, the suffragette colors, I made sashes for us and a little choker collar here to honor your request. But thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Well, Tessa, there you are. Raji, thank you very much. I don't think your video was on, Raji. You want to hit your video button, and we'll take a look at those purple outfits. Maybe not.
Here we
There you
are.
go.
There you are.
Okay. So we have these sashes here and these collars, and of course the gold and the purple earrings and such. But all you ladies are very inspiring, and thank you for your work that you do to collectively, we all are trying to make a difference.
You're all, this is my night of the year is getting to honor you women, and thank you so much. And you know, all through it, everybody's just rolled up their sleeves, and their COVID is somewhere in your resume as you were announced, and people are educating, reaching out, just serving in their communities. It's a very poignant year for all of us. So I think it's very brave that Debbie stepped up and said, we will go forward and we will do it by Zoom. And we're not going to miss it. That was it. And I was right there with you. So thank you for all of the staff that pulled it together, and that you all got your packets in the mail and got your special pins. And remember, you're going to be in the Library of Congress. It's in the congressional record, I should have said.
Debbie, I assume that the team may be on.
The
Jackie?
team should be on, yes, sir.
I thought Mary Jane was on.
Or no. If they're on, they can flash their pictures up when we go into the queue. So we'll do that. Okay, let's see where we are with you may have some questions. If I don't, well, I know Patty has the answer, so I'm going to lean on her.
So it looks like we have a question from Nicole Howell. Nicole, if you would like to unmute, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Excellent. Thank you. So Congressman, you know, all of us had sort of COVID in our life this year, and it's really, you know, unearthed a lot of things around caregiving, particularly caregiving for older adults and those who are experiencing dementia. So I'm curious what things Congress and other leaders like yourself are looking at for the future to address issues and a lack of trained caregivers to address the needs of older adults.
It's an ongoing problem. I notice the two ladies behind you who have worked on these issues for a long time along with you. Two things. First, before a person comes to the point where they need intensive care in a facility, it's in-home supportive services. Those are really the best in that particular stage where a person can care for themselves to some extent. Unfortunately, you know, my first experience with in-home supportive services dates back to 1978 when I became chairman of the Senate Health and Welfare Committee. And we were trying way back then to expand the in-home supportive service program. To this day, it is insufficient. That program also requires that the support service people be well prepared to provide the necessary services. And so that has an issue having to do with training and funding. So that's before the I don't think the word institution is the right word here, but before a person would be in a care facility. In a care facility, once again, in COVID, it is a very difficult situation. I know that the care facilities nationwide are wrestling with this with varying degrees of success. The infection is very, very viral, very infectious, and can move through a care facility in just a matter of hours. So that's an ongoing problem in those facilities. Once again, the quality of the care has to do with training and also with the funding that's available. One of the challenges we have, and this may, well, it's a real challenge, the Affordable Care Act, which is before the Supreme Court now, most of the money in the Affordable Care Act expansion programs, the Medicaid expansion program, is for care for seniors. Most of it in facilities. If that Affordable Care Act is terminated, that expansion program terminates with it and will have a profound negative effect on the people you're talking about. So there's some ongoing issues that confront us now. Long-term, it's the money that we spend. There's one other aspect of this that I know the three of you are involved in, and I know Patty and I are also and that's Alzheimer's dementia. It is one of the most prevalent issues facing seniors. It is clearly the one that is now and the most expensive going forward. And it is also the illness that women are mostly involved in, usually with family care. It's an ongoing issue. Patty's mom spent the last 3 years of her life in our home. We were able to have a person come in
for a few hours every day. You know, we all just juggled around, but it was a privilege to care for her, but it's not always possible for families to be able to do that.
So a very, very important issue that affects every family. And in the age of COVID, it is even a more difficult, challenging issue.
You probably have a lot of suggestions. I think you should have a town hall on this.
We come as a package deal, like, look, right here.
There.
That's right, Jenna Lee, yeah.
I've had the privilege of interacting with your pack.
Hi, guys. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have a question from Wendy Brecken. If you would like to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, my question has to do with, I was just wondering what you thought, Congressman, about the intersection between, government services and nonprofit and church services. Is it true that every community seems to have a different comfort zone with that? As far as in my community where I live, Vacaville, it's really difficult to get people to support, through government funding, the homeless, for example.
It's an ongoing challenge. Each community comes at it in a different way. One of the things that the homeless issue it's pervasive, and the issues are complex. Rarely is there just one issue that a homeless individual has. There's a multitude of issues that individual faces. And therefore, if we're going to deal with the homeless, we're going to have a multifaceted approach to it and provide multiple services. I noticed behind you the badge of the local police. And your community has a very thoughtful, the word progressive has many political meanings right now, but I'd like to use that word in a thoughtful way in which you're looking for new solutions to problems of the community. Mental health is one I know that you're engaged in, and certainly the community is. Funding is an ongoing issue, and it's always a challenge. We're going to have some very difficult funding issues as we deal with the COVID crisis. Obviously, one in place right now. We're trying to work with this HEROES bill. You're probably following it. It's absolutely essential. And it really needs to be in the $2 trillion range. Otherwise, we're going to see the collapse of many of the support programs that are out there and the collapse of many businesses. And it'll be very difficult to rebuild if those collapses occur. Also, local government, the police and fire and other support services in many of the communities throughout the nation, and certainly in my district, are already experiencing layoffs. Therefore, the role of the volunteer organizations become even more important, more stressed, more needed, and without money to support it. So it's going to be, we're in a very difficult situation. Hopefully we'll get this HEROES bill done. We use the word crush the virus, multiple pieces of that puzzle, but it clearly starts with testing, understanding where the infection is, and then jumping on it immediately with tracing isolation when and where necessary, and then damping it down. Other places around the world have used that successfully. We have not, unfortunately, been able to do it. And therefore, we're in for a very bad fall and early winter. So hang on, we'll do the best we can. I noticed many of you are using your masks. Thank you for doing so. Social distancing, testing, tracing where and when you can. One of the things that testing and tracing will require are volunteer organizations. And so there's another role that'll be coming down. There's a lot to be said here. We're in a tough period, but each and every one of you that are being honored tonight know how to tough it out. You know how, you know what's necessary in your community. You're doing it now, from food banks, food programs, mental health programs, homeless, on and on. You're going to need to continue to do that. You're going to need to continue to bring more people into your orbit, and we'll get through it. We will. And on the other side of this, which will be sometime, hopefully in the first half of next year, we're going to come out wiser, stronger, and I think far more resilient. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Susan Rachi, if you would like to ask your question.
Yes. You know, at my center at the Independent Living Resources of Solano and Contra Costa County, years ago, we served people with significant disabilities. And when I mean significant disabilities, people that were visual, had visual disabilities, in a wheelchair, visually impaired or deaf. One of the reasons you touched on it just a little bit, but I would say about 70% of my clients in today's world is mental health. A lot of my mental health clients, you know, they don't get as many services, you know, to go to see any kind of psychiatric treatment or a transitional program after they're released from the 5150, or, you know, a lot of them are homeless. Have you considered besides doing some long-term transitions for some of our mental health? I know there are a couple of short terms, but long-term. Housing, I'm sorry.
The long-term, I remember, I've been at this a long time, and I remember when the long-term facilities in California were shut down, for good reason. They were basically warehouses, but nonetheless, they did exist. The long-term care for mental health is found in a few places. I'm thinking of some of the veterans' homes that are out there. They do exist. They do provide long-term care. There's some very innovative things going on in Solano County. It's going to be replicated in the other counties in the area. Habitat for Humanity, pulling together congregate housing for homeless veterans, some of whom have mental health issues, not severe programs that would make them unable to live with somebody. But there are two facilities that have been built thus far. One is near completion in Rio Vista, another one in Dixon. 6 veterans will be in those facilities. Their homeless benefit from the VA is insufficient for themselves, but when multiplied by 6 is sufficient to make that facility financially viable. Very interesting model. We're going to move that model up into the Yuba Sutter area, again with Habitat for Humanity leading the way. It's one. Direct funding for mental health programs has been and continues to this day to be insufficient. We spend a vast amount of money on physical health. We've become wiser over the years to understand that If you're not dealing with the mental issue, you're not going to be successful with many of the physical health issues. We simply need to fund it. We've passed mental health parity legislation, part of the Affordable Care Act, and you should ask, terrific, where's the money? And that is an ongoing challenge that the Congress and the federal government face. But the mental health parity is the federal law. Now we have to implement it. Thank you for your work in this area. Share with us your ideas, the things that you think may work or do work, but that are not widely known or used. So be my mentor. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it looks like we have one question from Mary Vasquez. Go ahead, Mary, you are live.
Hi, thank you, Congressman Garamendi, for taking the Q&A session. I really appreciate it. I'm wondering if you can share maybe some of your strategies that you've employed for supporting women in public service. I think something that at least I feel like my local government struggles with is, how can we support and encourage women to serve in local policy making or local government to create a more, dynamic and inclusive city government. I think oftentimes some of us that do choose to serve, whether it's in local commissions or actual city council, can oftentimes become targets of we sometimes become targets. I don't know how to put it all into words and perspective, but I think, what are some of your strategies that you've used in supporting women and serving in public service?
Well, let's start at the beginning, and that is we have an internship program that brings college age students into our program, usually 3, sometimes 6 months. Specifically, we look to bring women into the program, mentor them, keep them on track. Again, specifically on the hiring side, looking for women that want to have a career in government, federal level now, previously at the state level. Also hiring practices. Looking for women that can be the chief of staff, district director. You see Debbie here. Debbie, we can put up the picture of a couple of the other women that work with Debbie that specifically put together this program. So that's hiring. The state of California is making some very bold, sometimes some would consider controversial, requiring that women have a role in corporate governance, board of directors and the like. There's some that think that that's not appropriate. I disagree. I think it's very, very appropriate. And also diversity, particularly important in the United States. We're the most diverse culturally, ethnic place in the world. And to ignore that diversity has 2 major problems. One is the problem of unrest, unhappiness. And the other problem is that we deny our communities the great benefit that diversity brings. It is in the mixing of culture and languages that progress is made. Virtually every major breakthrough down through the history comes when 2 cultures collide, hopefully happily, and the mix of that culture is where creativity occurs. We see that in the biotech community. Take a look at the Solano Yolo area. Take a look at who are the leaders in the advancement of biotech. In every case, it is the mixing of the cultures, the ethnicity and the languages, the background, the curiosity, and certainly Silicon Valley and the tech communities, another example. Agriculture. So that diversity is found in ethnicity and in culture, and the role of women in that is extraordinarily important. I will note that the most recent Nobel laureates in chemistry, 2 women, UC Berkeley, one an American, the other, I believe, was United Kingdom. So anyway, my personal thing is to bring women into our leadership in my office. Politically, the Democratic caucus in Washington, D.C., I believe it's about 40% women now, and will be even more after this next election. So there's been a major effort among my caucus to reach out and bring women into Congress. Some of them start as interns, others in the military and the like. So it's a very important stepping stone.
Mhm.
And I'm looking forward to your ideas on what else can be done.
Mhm. Perfect.
I think let me just let me just back up to the beginning. Notice who it was that was our keynote speaker. There was a time not so long ago when there were very few women in the academic senate. And we had, so how has that changed? I remember my days when I was lieutenant governor and on the board of regents for the UC system and the state university system. We were at that time a major push to bring women into the professorships at both universities with a continuing necessity to do that.
Perfect.
So it's law, it's policy, it's hiring practices, and the rest. Next question.
So it looks like that was the last question.
I'm going to toss one more thing out there. 100 years ago, the right to vote for women, the suffrage movement, we could create the Equal Rights Amendment. It's possible. And that's been discussed now for almost as long a period of time. So there are a lot of things we need to do. For each and every one of you out there, thank you for the questions, very, very thoughtful. And for all of you that are honored tonight, you were selected because you are leaders in your community. You're doing many, many different things. But in every one of the things you do, you have 2 driving things that cause you to succeed. One is empathy, the enormous empathy expressed tonight. And secondly, a desire to serve your community, your fellow human beings that you interact with daily and beyond. So thank you for that. You now have a responsibility, and that is to select somebody for the coming year. So for each and every one of you, a big, big thank you. And for the time that you've spent with me tonight, you've given Patty and I, you've been the wind beneath our wings, not only tonight, but beyond, in the past and in the future. Thank you so very, very much. Debbie, thank you for pulling this together for your team, Jackie and the rest of the team. Thank you for making it happen. Good night to you. Thank you so very, very much. We'll make sure that the congressional record is annotated with your names and your work, and we'll send you a copy of it as soon as we get back to Congress. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.